Hey guys, welcome to Paracord Planet. If this is your first time crafting with paracord, this video is a great place to start. This is intended as instructions for our single bracelet kits, but it also serves as good general instructions if you have some paracord and a buckle. The Cobra bracelet is usually considered the original paracord bracelet. When we polled our audience, almost 50% of them said that that's their favorite paracord bracelet. While people have only been making paracord bracelets for the last 20 to 40 years, this knotting method has actually been around for a couple hundred years. The Cobra Weave, as it is often called, is simply square knotting reimagined. So let's get into it. Since you're just getting started, you probably don't have a paracord bracelet jig yet, so we're just going to make this one in our hands. So in your kit, you should have received 10 feet of paracord, as well as a 3/8" buckle. So that's pretty much all we need to get started with our project, but you will also want a scissors or knife and just a plain old Bic lighter. So first we want to find the middle of our cord. So we'll just line up both ends and trace it back to the middle, like that. And then we'll take our buckle, and we just want to poke that fold down through one side of the buckle. Go ahead and just pull that loop through, and then we're going to attach this with a cow hitch. So we do that by taking our loop and bring our buckle down through that loop. Once we pull it tight, it'll look like this. Now we can detach the two ends of our buckle, and we'll run our fingers down to the other side. Make sure that our cords aren't twisted around each other. And these two ends are going to go down through that other side of the buckle. Slide that all the way back until we have about a bracelet size. With the Cobra bracelet, you want your bracelet length to be 1 inch longer than your wrist measurement. So an easy way to do that is to just take the end of your cord, so set this aside, take the end of your cord and wrap it around your wrist, and just mark where the end meets the middle of your cord. That length is going to be your wrist measurement, so just set that alongside a ruler. I already know that mine is 7 inches, so we're going to make our bracelet 8 inches, just add 1 inch to that. When measuring your bracelet, you want to measure from one side of the buckle, the one without teeth, all the way down to the base of the teeth on the other side. Don't include this portion in your measurement. Once you have your bracelet the correct size, we're going to start with our weave. So to make the Cobra weave, or square knots, we're going to start with one side and bring it over the top of our core strands, those two in the middle. Then we're going to take that other cord and bring it down over the one that we just crossed over. But then this one's going to go behind the back to come up through this loop right here. We'll just pull up that loop and grab all of our extra cord through. So it should look like this before tightening it down. Make sure you hold on to where the cord goes through the buckle, and then tighten down from there so that our bracelet does not change size. At this point, you might just want to check this against a ruler or on your wrist to make sure it hasn't changed size after you make your first knot. When bracelets end up the wrong size, this is usually where it goes wrong. So once that first knot is good and tight, and your bracelet length is exactly where we want it to be, we're going to continue on with that knot. This time, we're going to start from the other side. So with our first knot, we started with our right side. With the second knot, we're going to start with the left side. We'll cross that over the top. Then our right side cord is going to go straight down over that one, but then around the back and up through this loop. Pull all of our extra cord through, and we should have a knot that looks pretty much like our first one, but just a mirror image. Go ahead and tighten that one down right underneath. Then we even want to slide it up a little bit towards the buckle. Once that's good and tight, we can continue on making those same knots the entire length of the bracelet. So we'll go through that one more time. Right side over the top, left cord down over that, then around the back and up through the loop. Pull that tight. Other side, left across the top, right side over that, but then down and around the back to come up through that loop. And tighten that one down as well. So just keep on alternating all the way down the bracelet until we get to the end, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. So just about everyone who does their first paracord bracelet does this mistake. When we're doing it correctly, we've got this nice back and forth on the edge. And then when we get to here, we have 3 bumps going in the same direction, which isn't what we want at all. So if that happens to you, make sure you go back and correct that step. What we did was just made 2 of the knots from the same side instead of switching that one time. So we'll pull out those last 2 knots and do it the right way. To make sure you're doing it the right way each time, it's actually the same cord that goes over the top every time. So this one went over the top in our last knot, so we're going to start with that one in our next knot. Once you get to the end, to make sure that we've filled out those center strands good and tight, we'll just pull up on our knots one more time. Then we see that I can actually fit 1 more knot on there. So we'll do that. And then all we have left to do is to trim our ends. There's a couple of different ways to finish off our ends. One is that we can just clip them right here, melt them down with our lighter. Because this is made out of nylon, it'll melt into a nice little bead of plastic that's not going to pull through our knot. We'll finish ours off a little bit nicer than that today. So we'll loosen our last 2 sets of knots. I'm going to flip it over onto the back. So just pull out those last 2 layers. So it's going to be this cord both times, pulling up on this loop as well. So we've got those 2 loops that are now loose. And then take each of your cords and just run them through both of those loops. Our other one as well. And then we're going to go back and tighten each of those knots before we pull these cords tight. So just pull that loop tight, that first row, this one right here. And then that second one. Right like that. Now that those are tight, we can go ahead and pull the cords themselves. And that makes a nice finished end to our bracelet. So both of our cords are hidden on the bottom, and now we can go ahead and cut those about 1/8 of an inch away from the bracelet. We'll just hold them close to our lighter flame. If you hold it in the flame, they'll turn black and you'll get a great smell going. But if we hold it close, it should just melt the ends, then we can push it against the bracelet. So now that's nice and wide and it's not going to slip through the knots that we've made. And there is our paracord bracelet, all finished. If you enjoyed this project and you want to keep going with paracord crafting, be sure to check out the rest of our channel. We've got videos on projects like bracelets, keychains, lanyards, pet collars, and even larger projects like belts and guitar straps. The description to each video includes links to where you can find the supplies to make each project for yourself. In our store, you'll find over 600 colors of 550 paracord, as well as related hardware and other paracord types. Since there's so many options to choose from, we put together a handy cord chart to make things easier. You can also find our products on Amazon, but we do give our first-time customers on our web store a 15% off discount with coupon code YouTube. So again, if this is your first time paracord crafting and you find that you really enjoy it, be sure to check out these other beginner videos on our channel. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you around here again.